Hey guys, Kristy Rice here. I'm the author of Painterly Days, the watercoloring books for adults. That's right, I said watercoloring books. So these are much like traditional coloring books for adults, but also very different. They are meant for paint, watercolor, acrylic, markers, and they will not bleed through onto the other side. So really excited about telling you a bit more about these books they've worked so very hard on. Okay, here's the front cover. And guys, it opens up to reveal a watercoloring wheel, photo demos of different techniques. Nice thick cover. You can see that there. Super thick. It's going to protect all the pages inside. That closes up. And the back cover also flips open. I'll show you that here. Suggested materials on the right. And then look at that beautiful linen binding. So pretty. Each volume has a different color. Love it. And they close back up. Let me show you the flowers. And you did see there's definitely foil on that cover, beautiful rose gold foil. And guys, here is something I'm really excited about. These aren't just coloring books. They have so much more to them, so much more life and so much more use. Each of the 25 patterns in each of the 3 books has a mini art lesson or what I would call a painting tip attached to it. So you're not only going to have the stress relief of coloring, but you're going to learn a little bit too if you choose to read through the painting tips, which I definitely think you should. So 25 painting tips. I also do writings, inspirational writings on staying creative and finding inspiration in everyday life and how to make time for being creative. That is all in there. There's the anemone pattern, begonias, pomegranates, hydrangea, rhododendron. There's the thick paper, guys, super thick watercolor paper. Let me talk about that a little bit. So proud of the paper that we chose along with the publisher. Guys, let me tell you what, you cannot paint through it. It will not bleed through. There's the Pansies. This paper is amazing. I have tried to paint through. Look at that, nothing on the back. And I use a lot of water in my painting. No ripples in the paper, no bleed through. It just won't happen. So excited. Love it. There's a couple more of the patterns. Tropical, poppies, peonies, another peony. So here's a little time lapse for you. I've switched over to the pattern book. This is the Paisley Pattern in the pattern volume of Painterly Days. And I just want to show you how beautifully the paper takes the color and the pigment and the water. If you've done watercolor before, you know how tricky it can be in terms of, oh my gosh, the watercolor's drying and I'm not done blending. So what you need is a paper that dries slowly. Well, that's exactly what we have here, guys. You can see me push that color around and I can go back into it. I can smush it around some more. I can add more pigment like I'm doing there. Look at how that color floods. That's another thing that we as watercolorists love, is when the color floods together into the next color. And that's what gives watercolor its amazing effects. So this paper is where it's at. It's a phenomenal paper. And we are just super proud to be able to offer you 25, essentially 25 art prints on thick watercolor paper for the price point of these books, which is $24.99. Anyway, I'm painting through here. Look at that. Look at how that color moves. And I'm going to flip around to the back here soon so you can see no bleed through. You can also paint in the background, which a lot of coloring book enthusiasts are doing. I love it. They're getting super creative with their backgrounds, or what we might call negative space. Look at all that water I used. Just look at it shine. Ton of water. And soon I'll be flipping over and you can see just absolutely no bleed through. Here we go. Look at that. Nothing. So I mean it. We've spent a lot of time and a lot of care and thought went into choosing the paper. So there you have it. Awesome. So excited. You can also use the back cover, guys. If you notice there, I have the back cover underneath the artwork so that if the artwork were finished on the back, it wouldn't then smudge onto the next page, depending on what you used. Watercolor, pencil, paints, acrylic, it wouldn't smudge. So that's important too. There's another peek at flowers. I'm going to head back in there. tell you a little bit more about all the features of this book. Flipping through the different patterns here, really excited. Oh my gosh, how many times can I say excited? I can't help myself. Anyway, oh, there was the hydrangeas. Just flip through the hydrangeas. Awesome. Okay. I am looking for a peony that I want to work on a little bit. There are 2 peony patterns in the floral book, guys, that just give you an idea of just how much I love peonies. There it is. So I'm going to do a little time lapse of the peonies. Oh, there goes my cover underneath to protect the next pages. Oh, something I want to mention, super important. Each of the 25 patterns is printed twice in the book. One on the front of the page, one on the back. And the reason for that is you have one for practice and one for keeps, as I like to say. So you don't have to feel like, oh my gosh, I have one time to quote unquote get this right. No, you have a practice page that you can really have fun with and experiment with before you dive into your final masterpiece. So again, just look at how the paper is taking all that water. I'm floating, yellows into the greens. Here I go into the pinks, floating in peaches, and they're just washing together so perfectly. Oh my goodness. Love it. I'm removing a little color there, which is great. You can paint in, remove the color. You're not going to distress the surface of the paper. And also, I love to paint the backgrounds. It's not something you have to do. You can start doing it when you're feeling a little more confident in watercolor. But there I go, adding in a little bit of background, a little bit of water, a little bit of pigment, move it around, and you're done. And guys, let me say this. These books are not for professionals. They're not. With one caveat. If you are an acrylic painter or an oil painter and you want to try watercolor, this is a great way to do it. But these books are designed for people who just have always had a curiosity for watercolor and never pursued it because maybe you were scared. Maybe you were like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is so hard and so crazy. Watercolor is just so lively and spirited. I can't do it. But you can. You absolutely can do it. The way that I illustrated each page was section by section. So these patterns are broken up into small sections that you paint small parts at a time. You're not faced with this big, huge page of big areas that you have to try to fill with watercolor. No, you're faced with a 9 by 12 page. Yes, the books are 9 by 12 inches. You're faced with that page filled with the artwork already that I've illustrated for you. And then you have all these little tiny sections, just like in a normal coloring book. You have these little sections to fill where you can really hone in and focus on blending, pushing the color around, maybe pulling back some of the color, blotting it with your tissue or paper towel. You work section by section, and then all of a sudden you look up and you've painted a watercolor piece of artwork, and it's yours. That's what I love. That's what I'm so jazzed about when it comes to these books. They are for you. They are for you to just have at it with watercolor once and for all. I always talk about art for joy's sake. If you follow me on Periscope or Instagram, these books are art for joy's sake. Dive in, have at it, find the unshakable joy that art making and watercolor can bring. There's the back cover, more foil. I love the foil details on this book. Oh my goodness, guys, I am bursting. Thank you so much for watching.